News Radio 840 WHAS. Good Sunday morning. Bob Sokoler and the Louisville Real Estate Show here with you until the top of the hour. We got a lot of questions and some news for you, so let's get right to it. First, we start with introducing the folks who are with us for today's show. Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. They come in as a team. They're ranked number one for 7 years in a row, and he's a great guy. Brad, you can reach him and his team at 844-411 team. Also here, Kevin Dissler, Pitt and Frank Attorneys. You can choose the attorney you want to close your loan, and we can't recommend highly enough. That's Pitt and Frank Attorneys. 895-9900. Good to have both you guys here.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Morning. Also here, my son Greg, who's already up early this Sunday morning in his car heading, I guess, to shoot some photography. So thank you.
Just leave, yeah.
Okay, just joining us. All right, let's start with some news. The average for 30-year fixed rate mortgage swung above 5% again this week, clocking in at about 5.22%. It was down below 5% up until this week. It's going up and down and up and down. Builders say more buyers are backing out of sales contracts for new homes as traffic fizzles, causing home buyer confidence to drop for the 8th straight month. By the way, there are long-term locks that you can do now if you're thinking of buying.
And I take umbrage with that stat because I've seen that Bloomberg, all these different big money articles coming out about consumer buyer confidence. Locally, we don't see near as much of what we see nationally, and we know that. We've seen on the coasts, you see a lot more lacking confidence and price drops. Here, talking to the builders that we work with regularly, there's still no inventory, folks. So we're still
that is a problem. And there's a lot of building going on, even though there's this problem. But there is a way to do a long-term lock. We're going to discuss that next week on the show when we've got Randy from Swan.
The 10 arms that are getting that, people are getting in the 4%. There's not all doom and gloom. There's some good movement.
Yep. You're breaking up a little bit. All right, let's get to the questions. We start with the one for Kevin Dissler. Mike sent us an email that he just discovered a leak and damage inside walls for the home he purchased 11 and a half months ago. The area that is leaking has been concealed behind a table that had been built into a closet that was there before Mike bought the home. At the end of August, this is when it happened, Mike says he'll be there 1 year. He says, we just moved the desk, saw the nightmare. By the way, Mike says he did have an inspection done, and apparently inspector never checked behind the desk, so this involves inspections as well, Brent. Mike believes the previous homeowners covered this up and clearly knew. Mike's wondering what legal recourse can he do. Interesting question. So let's start with Brad from inspection standpoint. If there's a desk, it's not your scope to move desks, right?
Yeah, correct. So the home inspection is a visual inspection only, so we can't move furniture, we can't lift up carpets, we can't tear into walls. So I don't know exactly what the structure of it sounds, though. If it was tucked into a closet, probably be a pretty tight fit there. So yeah, you do your best to look around furniture and kind of behind things. Couches are it's one thing, but a desk pushed up against the wall would be it could definitely obscure the view of the home inspector.
So we go to the legal side of this thing. Kevin, what recourse does Mike have with regard to proving that this was intent to conceal?
Well, we had a period of real heavy rains. We have these type of issues that tend to pop up. I think we got 3 or 4 inches of rain, certain parts of the county. But what you'd have to prove is fraud on the part of the seller, that they knowingly took efforts to conceal this area. And fraud is a hard case to prove, and the standard of proof is a little bit higher. What you would need to have is some evidence that they knew that this problem existed, that it was material, and they took some effort to conceal. And again, the old, tales in the industry of trying to block access of the buyers, buyers' agents, and the inspectors from an area that might be problematic. So you'd look and try to find out, the perfect case would be water intrusion expert comes in, writes you up a nice $5,000 or $10,000 estimate. You don't like that. You try to patch it up, then you build a paneled wall, or you go ahead and, like I said, in this case, attach a desk to a wall to basically make it a fixture. And like Brad and his people, they can't get behind there. They can't inspect it. But that's the type of evidence that you would need. Just because a basement leaks, especially after a period of time that we've had a serious amount of rainfall, would not be enough. And most attorneys would say that those type of fraud cases are fairly difficult, although sometimes you talk to the neighbors. The neighbors sometimes are your best friends saying, oh, they had these trucks over there all the time. And that gives you a little bit of an opportunity to try to develop a little bit more of an evidence of the case.
Interesting. So just to play this out a little bit more, if Mike contacts his agent, who and then goes back to the seller's agent, who goes back to the seller and says, listen, there's a leak. We think you had concealed it. We are willing to try going forward with this unless you want to come up with pony up some money, cash, or repairs. Is that a good ploy for Mike to play down the road, doing kind of a bluff type of situation? Yeah.
Well, I think sometimes talk to your agent and they can bring it up with the other side. Usually these matters are resolved. At some point in time, there may be someone that just says, listen, a couple $1,000, make this all go away, do a full mutual release. Usually that's how it's resolved. But I think the first thing the buyer needs to do is talk to their agent, who could talk to the list agent, say they have these concerns, and see if you can kind of work out something at that level.
Got it. If you want to see a repeat of today's show, the video version of this, we actually are doing our Zoom show, so we're taking your questions via email. Send me an email, bob@wesellouisville.com, and then the subject, question, radio show, and then the actual question in the body of the email. But you can go to LouisvilleAnswers.com, and up there will be a video version of this show. So just to let you know, in case you're wondering about that. All right. And Brad, we're moving back over to you now. Sarah wrote in, and Brad, you and I actually discussed this particular question earlier this week. She's selling her home. The buyer agent wants to know where the inspection sticker is on her furnace. Yeah. And apparently this was a replacement furnace. You found out some very interesting information that I think we should share with all homeowners and also buyers.
Yeah, so let me just kind of set the stage, though. For a home inspection, a code sticker is we aren't looking for code stickers. We're not allowed as licensed inspectors in Kentucky or in Indiana to quote code. We don't talk about code. It's forbidden. But the question that came up was, should a replacement appliance, and I mean something that is like a water heater or a furnace or an air conditioning unit, should it have some sort of a code sticker on it saying that it had been inspected by a government inspector? Now, as Bob and I were talking about this, I'm looking in my house. I don't have a single replacement unit in my house that has a code sticker on it. Nothing has been inspected. I have used very reputable organizations to replace those units in my house. They all had installation stickers on it showing who did the work, but none of them had a code sticker. So I called a friend of mine who's an HVAC company owner, and I asked him the question. He said, Brad, every single install that I do, except for an air conditioning compressor replacement, I always pull a permit. He said, I always have the inspectors will come out and do a safety inspection. It's not really a code inspection, as he explained it. It's more of a, hey, I installed it safely. The interesting thing is that what he had said to me was, he makes the call after he pulls the permit. The work's been completed, and it's left up to the code inspectors, that office, to then send someone out to the house to do the final inspection and put the sticker on it. So, yeah, and what he said to me was that it's about 70% of the contractors here locally don't pull a permit or don't request that safety inspection to take place after the unit is installed. So, so does it matter as part of the home inspection process? No, but it was an interesting dialogue, interesting information that we found out about, how that process is actually working.
So, Brad, right now, should all the sellers who are potential sellers, people who own homes who are listening to us right now, should they go around looking for inspection stickers on their appliances or furnace or something?
I don't know why they would. I wouldn't look for a code sticker per se. I would certainly want to make sure that you've got the documentation, because I'm sure that if I was going to sell my house right now, I'd want to have the documentation of when all of those units are replaced. I have all that paperwork. I think the difference is that we all know we can go down to Home Depot and we can purchase a water heater and install it ourselves. Is it a good idea? Well, if you have the skills, maybe. But my preference is that I contract that work out to be done by the professionals, but I know that's not everybody's approach to it.
What if I could interject, because this issue comes up all the times in closings, is that the sticker is not there. And then when you actually explore it, the folks downtown tend to be hard to come by. They show up, you're not there for a minute or two, they take off. So a lot of the contractors do not do it just because it's kind of a pain in the backside. And it takes a lot of their time to wait for them to come out and inspect. So sometimes they just don't do it. But I do know that, and I'm not sure if there are lenders that have a requirement, but it constantly comes up is there's not a sticker on the panel. There's not a sticker on HVAC. And whether it's a requirement or not, it does tend to hold up closings at time. And I think it's just the fact that maybe they don't have enough folks downtown to come out and service all the different contractors, but it does routinely come up, and most of the contractors say it's 2 or 3 hours out of my day to wait for them to come out, so they just don't do it. But like I said, it does come up quite often and holds up closings.
It's funny. It's funny that you all are talking about this issue and the previous issue that we just talked about. I was just out in Inman or out in Las Vegas at the Inman conference, Future of Real Estate, Future of Tech, and what they talked about to quell and squash these issues that we've talked about in just the past 2 cases was, it's going to sound crazy, and I'm not going to get too into it, crypto blockchain on a individual home. Think Carfax reports for your car. Yeah. But this will be from the moment a home is built or any transaction is handled. Everything that goes through is going to go on a file, on a blockchain. So every home across, and this is already in the works, folks. They have a government contract on this company. And I'll try to remind Bob so we can send something out so people can look into this. But essentially, it's Carfax for real estate. Every home will have a blockchain history. If you have HVAC replace service, it's going on your blockchain history. If you had an inspection by Brad's company, Brad's going to be involved in this, and they're going to input the data. It's going to stay with that house in perpetuity. Yeah. So that there's no question or finding, which will help a lot of these issues. But I didn't want to go down. But it's interesting that we're having these issues, and this is a solution for these issues.
But coming from someone my age, Greg, when you say the word blockchain, my eyes glaze over.
It's not blockchain. It is. Here's what they said, and here's how they put it in layman terms. It is an Excel spreadsheet for your house that stays with it in perpetuity. Okay. It is as simple as that. Carfax report on a spreadsheet for every home. And it's very exciting because it will even be attached to the realtor, and it will help realtors keep track in stats. Okay. And know how good a realtor is, if there was an issue, it is limitless on what this technology can do, but it's coming, and it will help all of these issues.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, I just said that there's a public site that I go to. I just can't recall it off the top of my head, but a website that you can, every permit that was ever pulled related to the property that you're purchasing, there's a list there. And they have a list of contractors. And it's just what Greg is talking about, like with us, with the title world. They're trying to make a frictionless, commoditized way of buying and selling real estate.
All been talked about, boy. Let me tell you, electronic closings, seamless processes. How do we make it better, easier, faster for the consumer?
And one more thing, that home warranties, like we're now using 210 home warranty, they're now asking for the registration or model number of the appliances so they can keep track as well. So we're seeing a lot of this stuff change. But Greg, that's a good point. Greg, good for you. Yeah, he went out to Inman a couple of weeks ago and brought back a lot of information. So that's very, very good. Incidentally, if you are thinking of selling your home, we now have 6 ways. It says 5 on my copy and on my website, but I know there are now 6 ways to help you sell your home, and just about guaranteed to help you find your next home before you have to move out or sell your existing home. It's true. You want to get more information, go to my website, bobsellmyhome.com, or just call me, 376-5483. We're going to take a break. We are continuing with Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service at 844-411-TEAM. Kevin Dissler, Pitt and Frank Attorneys at 895-9900. My son Greg, who does our marketing, photography, and researches the future for us. And you can reach me, Bob Sokoler, anytime to help you list and sell or buy a home, 376-5483. We are back in a moment on News Radio 840 WHAS. News Radio 840 WHAS, back with you, the Louisville Real Estate Show till the top of the hour. Continuing with us, Kevin Dissler, Pitt and Frank Attorneys at 895-9900. Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service, 844-411-TEAM. My son Greg, who does our marketing and photography and so much more. And myself, Bob Sokoler. You can reach me at 376-5483. And a note of thanks to Barbara Corcoran, who does our commercials with us and also is our mentor. And Greg and I are traveling up next week, or week after, to meet with Barbara, shoot some more commercials, and talk with her about the future of real estate as it's changing, which it is continually changing. All right. We go back to the questions, and this one's over to Kevin. Joe writes in, he is looking for a home in the, now, Kevin, get a load of this. Agents who are listening to this, strap in for this one. Joe is looking for a home in the $1 to $5 million price range. He sees some are sitting on the market, not only here, but around the country for a long period of time.
Million.
1 to 5 million. Yep. And he says he has a really interesting question. I have never heard this question before. He's wondering, is it legal or illegal for him, Joe, as a consumer, to hire a private investigator, find out the motivation of the seller for a home that's on the market that he might be interested in, because he's looking to see where he could possibly get a really good deal if he knows the seller needs to get out of the property quickly. Have you heard of this before? I've never heard of something like this.
Well, I've known people that what they will do is actually kind of do a search of the public records to determine motivation, which meaning divorce filings. Perhaps, check the estate records. But you sometimes also review not only the mortgages against the property, whether they're current, whether there are any liens. You check out other properties to see if someone's having some financial distress so that you can possibly get a better deal. So I do know people that have done that. Now, the question would be a private investigator to follow around and try to check out. That might be taking a bit far, but I do know people that want to determine, is a situation where the seller has to sell, and you can usually find that out fairly quick.
Right. Extrapolate that. Like you go that extra mile. And mind you, don't know this gentleman, but a $1 to a $5 million hiring a private investigator sounds like this could be a political job of somebody looking to just get some dirt on somebody. Because like Kevin said, there's a lot easier way to find out if they're motivated. But let's extrapolate that and use what you found in your private investigation, and now go to the seller and say, hey, Mr. Seller, I found out this through only means that you could do in a very shady way that I can get leverage on you to sell.
Well, you would never telegraph that. Yeah.
Well, clearly would know. Like, how does this person know their personal life?
Well, wait, I will tell you something. Now, you may not know this, Greg, but and maybe everybody else does already. But we have a lot of sellers that when we get offers from buyers, legitimate good offers, before the seller will accept it, they will do a search on Google, on Facebook, and try to learn as much as possible about the buyer.
That's fair housing then at that point. There's a difference when you're doing it the reverse way there. If you're looking if you're researching names on contracts and multiple bids and you're saying, I'm going to pick this family based off this.
No, I don't think, that's the difference. I think they're just doing, I think they're just doing research. But Kev, back real quickly to put a period at the end of this for Joe, is it illegal for him to hire an investigator to do some research if that's what he wants to do?
I don't think there's any prohibition against it. Now, of course, if he's trying to open up the mailbox and take copies of bank statements and things like that, that's clearly illegal. But if you're just saying, Bob Sokoler, I want you to research the background, publicly available information, deeds, mortgages, any filings down at the courthouse, and he gives a report, that's fine. That's what it sounds, no problem at all.
Sounds like that's something an investor might do, right? When you're searching for a deal.
Sure.
Maybe, but
you could find the deal.
Let me just point out, we are a full-service real estate team here, but doing the investigation that goes a little bit higher above my pay grade, I won't do that because I won't jeopardize the confidentiality that we have for anybody, whether it's buyer or seller. So let's move forward.
Well, I have to ask you a question. What Greg was saying, how many people, when they get a contract offer, go on Facebook to see who's making the offer or vice versa?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
I think it's a majority. It's a vast majority. You're curious.
Remember to be careful what you post on social media, because it could come back to haunt you in a way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Everything's out there. It's on there forever.
It's there. All right, we move forward. Brad, Vanessa has a bug problem. In her email, she writes about flies inside the house along with some ants. She knows she's got to hire some type of exterminator, get rid of them before she puts her home on the market. And she's wondering, are all exterminators the same? Are there questions that she should ask an exterminator that would tell her whether the exterminator and the company is the real deal or just a lot of hype?
It's interesting. I think we've had another question like this here recently. I'm not really sure what's going on with the with bugs out there, but I think one of the things that I've seen that's changed within the way that I'm getting bug treatment in my house and a church property and a corporate space. Everybody's gone to these exterior only kind of treatments. They're not coming into your homes anymore. So I don't know that I think the question for the pest control technician is, are you going to come in and actually see what my problem is? Or are you just going to go ahead and spray, these pretty strong, harsh chemicals outside and hope that it takes care of it? I had my house treated here, a quarterly treatment, and again, guy came out, sprayed the outside of the house, messed up the windows, like they typically do. And suddenly the next day, I'm having these large black ants in my house. So wherever they were, so they were pushed in the house. So I think that one of the questions I'd ask is just what is the treatment method? What is the plan? How are they going to approach it? Because I do think so many of them right now have just gone to exterior only treatments. And I think if you're dealing with flies in the house, ants in the house, spiders, the technician's got to come in and do a consultation inside and figure out what's going on. Because a lot of it, points to hygiene issues. And I don't mean dirty people, but just, there's food scraps that are left. There's build up under kitchen sinks. There may be, something that slid down next to a refrigerator that's drawing the flies in. I think there's so many things that you're only going to be able to see if indeed the technician come in the house and take a look versus just an exterior only kind of treatment. So I think right now it's tough to find a company that's really good at it, but that would be the question I would start when they talk to a customer service person is, how do you create the plan for treating my house?
Good. All right. I think that tells them. Yep. Kev, Terry sent us an email saying that because of COVID and the loss of his job, he is behind dramatically on his bills. And he is wondering, in the state of Kentucky, can a judgment be made against you or your home or land if you have a large amount of medical bills? Is this accounting much like a lien against the property maybe he's referring to?
Yeah, it sounds like he's talking to, a lot of times you have, the number one leading cause of bankruptcy is healthcare bills.
Yeah.
And so if the healthcare company has, say, a $100,000 judgment lien against your house, they can't follow up and foreclose on the house. Now, I guess he's talking about, can COVID block them from doing so? I believe, and this is not an area that I practice in, but on foreclosures, I think most of the moratoriums have been lifted.
Yeah.
There may be some VA and some special programs, and there's a lot of different governmental programs to help people in that situation. But I think if it's just a judgment lien holder, they do ultimately have the right to foreclose the property and be paid. So, and I don't believe that there are any restrictions any longer on them proceeding. But what I would suggest to them, again, the state of Kentucky, city of Louisville, they have a lot of funds, a lot of programs to help people out in these type of situation. And I would contact them and see if maybe they can help you out.
Got it. Incidentally, if you want to see some of the videos that we produce, Greg and myself, our team, head to LouisvilleHomesTV.com, LouisvilleHomesTV.com. And I'm especially proud of some of the postings, Greg, that you do for Instagram. Is it just Greg Sokoler? What are you posting those under?
Just Greg Sokoler. The way we do it, the way I market it, those specific videos are very targeted. So they garner a lot of traffic. If you want to take a look at some of the stuff we push out there, just Greg Sokoler, Sokoler. Just search that on the web. You'll find it. All
right. Well, final question. I think Anthony is a chef, and he listens to us on iHeartRadio from Los Angeles. And listen up, he writes in with an interesting question. He's considering moving to Louisville, I guess, for a job offer here at one of the hotels. He says Los Angeles and some 50 surrounding counties have just passed a regulation that no new construction can have a gas range in it. Have you heard about this, Brad? That you're shaking your head.
Yeah.
You might think it's because of earthquakes, but the real reason, Anthony says, is because the gas contributes to pollution, of course, on the West Coast.
Yeah.
At least that's what the proponents of the new regulations say. Any plans, he's asking, for Louisville to follow suit and outlaw gas ranges? Apparently, Anthony really likes gas ranges.
Yeah,
As any good chef.
Yes. Okay.
You got to.
Well, you got to do what, Greg? Use gas?
Well, no, as it's just a more reliable, consistent heat source than an electric burner or ceramic or something like that.
Right. I would say you blipped out on my end there. I didn't hear your answer. Yeah, I think it's super popular. I mean, I don't see these high end gas range, or I don't see high end ranges in homes that are using anything other than gas. I mean, there's a lot of the induction type stuff out there now, but not in professional circumstances. I don't know of anything, Bob. I've heard the same things. Of course, y'all wonder if anything that happens in California will eventually drift this way. But I hope our chefs can keep using natural gas here.
And even the folks at home.
That's right.
Greg, what was that?
No, I would assume so. I mean, California is an extreme in any circumstance around the world. Kentucky, if we take the same practice, we're so insulated from that kind of stuff. And we react way slower out in the country.
True.
And we sell a lot of coal in Kentucky nowadays, too.
That's right.
Yeah, that we love the natural. We love, so keep it, out here.
We'll see. Yeah. All right, we'll see how this shakes out if it comes cross country. We're out of time. We thank Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service at 844-411-TEAM. Also, Kevin Disler, Pitt and Frank Attorneys, 895-9900. My son Greg, who does our marketing, photography, and so much more. And you can reach me, Bob Sokoler, anytime to help you list your home, sell it, get it on the market, or just set up a plan to talk about what the process is. That's free of charge. Just for you to come out and talk. You can reach me at 376-5483. Thank you, folks, for being here on the Zoom meeting call, and everybody listening. We'll see you next Sunday on News Radio 840 WHAS.